Roll call, please.
Mayor Martini?
Here.
Councilmembers Ratty? Absent. Lawson?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Bybee? Here. Schmidt?
Here.
City Manager Driscoll?
Here.
City Attorney Adams?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Is Julia not here, calling in? We don't know?
She's not calling in.
Okay.
Not calling in.
There's a picture from New York yesterday.
All right, next is comments from the public. Do you have anyone here that wants to say anything under comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Third is the public hearing. Pardon me?
The chief thinks he's the public. He's not the public.
Next is the public hearing is required by NRS 354.596 to allow the public comment on the tentative budget of the City of Sparks for fiscal year 2015-16 for possible action. So you're not really here to, we're just having a public hearing.
We just need to have the public hearing on the tentative budget.
I'll open the public hearing on the tentative budget. Anyone want to speak to the tentative budget? Seeing none. Close the public hearing and bring it back to number 4. Consideration possible adoption of the final budget for City of Sparks for fiscal year 2015-16. Questions, comments? Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to, when we had the hearing on the budget, there was a question asked that I want to go ahead and expound on in regards to there is no, the budget that's being proposed does not include increases of wages that are currently being negotiated by city staff.
That's correct.
So where's that money coming from?
Well, those will be brought forth to council under a separate agenda item in the future. So how that would be paid for is going to be spelled out in that agenda process. But, I mean, the long and the short of it, though, would be, if you recall, we built back in, we reloaded, was the words I think I used, reloaded the vacancies that we experience, and always experience every year. We just don't know exactly how much it's going to be this year. In the current fiscal year, we experienced $1.4 million of vacancy savings in fiscal 15, so we reloaded that back into the budget. So we expect that the expense for that will be high. The manager has been requesting to use that as a tool to work with his department heads to manage the vacancies as they happen throughout the year, and essentially that will be the source of the payment for those.
So how do we know how much money we have to negotiate salary increases?
Well, at least, that amount that we reloaded.
Where's that budget reloaded at? Where can I find that money in budget reloaded at?
We broke that out in our cause of change in the city manager's budget recommendations. If you recall, there was a list of both the cause of change from on the revenue side and also the expenditure side, which had some detail in there.
So if no raises are granted with the upcoming negotiations that are happening, how much money do we have to go ahead and reprogram in other places?
Well, it's unknown because, again, that's a tool that the city manager is going to be utilizing. Again, as vacancies come up, what we know right now, so I'll put it this way, what we do know is that we haven't budgeted for any vacancies. So essentially, the entire complement is budgeted as if it's going to be filled starting July 1st and completely filled throughout the fiscal year. So the manager is going to use that as a tool because we know that's not going to happen. But instead of actually trying to, project who's going to retire or who's going to leave, in what department, we're going to leave all departments whole and then have the manager manage to that, if you will.
See, I'm a little uncomfortable. It was 3 years ago that when we did a budget, and then less than 30 days later, you came back and you had 7%, salary give-backs and benefits to the employees without ever changing the budget. And, that was pretty much a given, I guess, that's what the way we were going to do it, is just do the budget and then find 7% later on. So I guess what I'm looking for is how much are we anticipating finding in the budget for salary increase? Because otherwise, I think that if you don't have that spelled out to the council in advance, you might be negotiating in bad faith because you don't have the money. You don't have the money earmarked for wages and salary benefit increases. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what that amount is. Is it 600,000, a million? What is it for that we have set aside that we can negotiate with for salary and benefit increases?
Probably the best way to explain that is that there isn't anything set aside specifically in this budget for that. However, we're using those vacancies. So the way we're not able to identify, how much that is because negotiations haven't completed yet. That's why those will need to be brought forward under a different council item.
Shouldn't you know how much money you have before you negotiate increases?
Well, and we do from the standpoint of how much of the vacancy savings we reloaded back into the budget.
I think this is funny math. I think we're doing something that is probably, not fair to the council to tell us exactly how much money we have set aside for salary increases. Because if I don't get a salary increase, I want to know how much money I have to go reprogram someplace else. Do I have enough to hire 10 cops? If I don't give any raises on that, do I have enough to go hire 10 cops? And I don't have that amount. I don't even think you know how much that amount is that we programmed in there. What we're doing is we're going to roll the dice and say, let's go out and give anywhere from 1% to 15% raises and hope we have the money of enough people not showing up to work.
Mm-hmm. And I think
that's negotiating in bad faith. I think not having a solid number that you can do, I think that's negotiating in bad faith.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Questions? Ms. Bybee?
I had one question. I noticed that the insurance committee had met in the last week or two, and on their agenda, I don't know what happened in the meeting, but saw that they were looking at considering upping deductibles, changing some of their their costs or their cost to employees with the retirement, with the insurance, which is our huge issue, which is the biggest issue, that our biggest liability. Do we know if that's impacting? Is that reflected at all? Is it in the process still? So we have to go with the assumption that things are going to cost what they do right now, but we could see savings if they actually. Or did they make changes that we know of those savings already? Will that impact this budget?
Yeah, my understanding is that they have not approved anything yet. They're still under that discussion. So, budget is simply a plan. So right now we don't know anything as far as savings that might materialize. We've kind of gone down that road before, and throughout the year they have their discussions, and whether they come up with savings or not is going to be a completely separate process than it is for the budget. If it had been done before the budget and approved, absolutely, we would have built it into the budget. But since we don't know as of the time this is being published and needing to be filed, that could still happen. So, we can let the committee do, what they're going to do, whether they approve savings or not, and then it would just be underspending. Okay, underspending the budget that would be expected. Now, if that would equate to the amount that we wouldn't have to need the full 25% increase, that could be a decision that could be made mid-year.
Questions? Anyone else? Okay, looking for a motion. Ron, Mr. Smith.
I move to adopt the final budget of the City of Sparks as presented today for fiscal year 2015-16.
Mr. Lawson.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Lawson to approve the budget as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Okay, passes 3-1. Mr. Schmidt is a no. Okay, that's
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is comments from the public. Again, still no comments from the public. Comments from the council and city manager. Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have an announcement related to boards and commissions. The following committee appointments are available. 2 appointments to the Sparks Civil Service Commission will expire on June 30, 2015. Each appointment is for a 3-year term. 2 appointments to the Parks and Rec Parks Commission will expire on June 30th. Each appointment is for a 3-year term. 1 appointment to the Airport Authority Board of Trustees, which will expire on June 30th, 2015. This is a 4-year term. For this board, the requirements of the Airport Authority Trustees requires experience in aviation, business or tourism, experience in finance or accounting, or other qualifications that the appointing authority determines are necessary to carry out the duties of the board. Persons interested in serving on these committees should complete a community service application available from the city clerk's office. You may also apply online at the city's website, www.cityofsparks.us. Click on City Services on the web page, then click on Volunteering, Get Involved, and then click on Fill Out City of Sparks Volunteer Application. Applications for these committees will be accepted until the close of business on June 1st, 2015. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing no further business, we're adjourned.
I didn't know I was doing this today.
I'd like to call to order the Sparks Redevelopment Agency budget hearing. Can I have roll call, please?
Agency Chair Brady, absent. Agency members Lawson.
Here.
Martini.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Bybee.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Chief Administrative Officer Driscoll.
Here.
Agency Attorney Adams.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Do I have comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll go to item number 3. This is a public hearing to allow public comment on the tentative budget for the redevelopment agency in the city of Sparks for fiscal year 2015-2016. Do I have any public comment on the redevelopment budget? Seeing none, we'll go to item 4. For consideration and possible adoption of the final budget for the redevelopment agency of the city of Sparks. And we have Mr. Cronk. You're up.
Jeff Cronk, Financial Services Director for the record. Same as the city. This is essentially where there is no change to the budget that we presented to you for redevelopment 2. We did have some changes in redevelopment 1 that I wanted to outline just very briefly. They were related to the spill, the toxic cleanup that we knew about. We had originally included in the tentative budget a $120,000 amount unknown at the time, and now we have a better estimate of $150,000, so we included that into both in fiscal 15 and then also fiscal 16. So there's a little bit of a duplication, but we don't know when the expenditures are going to happen. This is only for budget authority, so we don't have to come back to you later. But this isn't going to be spending it twice, it's just spending it once. We just don't know exactly when the expenditures are going to happen. So that's a little bit of a change than what you saw last time we presented. Also, we included some potential receipts, revenues from a land sale, and then related expenditures to that, pending those negotiations of those parcels. So we just included an initial estimate in order, again, just to put some budget amounts to it. And those were the only changes that we made in our redevelopment area 1's numbers. And again, redevelopment 2 were identical. So with that, I'd be looking for...
Do I have any questions or comments from council? Mr. Smith?
Jeff, I thought we allocated $250,000 for cleanup.
No, just 150. Well, originally it was 120, and then we increased that when we had a better estimate.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was 250 too.
Yeah, I think we looked at it at 250.
Yes, maybe at the very initial discussions, I think you're correct. We were looking as an up to because we really didn't know at the time. So.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Cronk? Okay, if not, I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve as outlined by staff and amended. Madam Chair.
Second.
I have a motion by Member Martini and a second by Member Smith. Do I have, okay, I guess with that we're ready to vote.
I vote yes.
Okay. Looks like that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, 5.2 comments from council and city manager from the council. Any other comments? Comments from city manager? Okay, seeing none, I close this meeting. Meeting's adjourned.